Welcome to Clause 8. You're watching a short clip from one of our full episodes, featuring real conversations with the leaders shaping IP.
This is an important point. I mean, if anybody wants some wisdom from me, I used to, for many years, give a speech that I called the patent pendulum speech. A lot of people used to identify me with that, and how since the Constitution, since we're having this is the 250th anniversary of the Revolution, not, of course, the Constitution, which was 1789, but and by the way, my lifespan has been 1/3 of that time. We've gone through periods of high protection and periods of low protection. And so, like, for example, in the 19th century, inventors were some of the most famous people. Abraham Lincoln has a patent, and the patents were extremely important. But what happens is, and they spurred, technological innovation in this country and the other countries that had patent systems, like Germany and UK and Japan, by the way, which adopted patents in the 1870s. But then what happens is you develop these industries that become phenomenally successful and dominant and are consolidated, and they lose interest in intellectual property. In fact, generally speaking, oftentimes they become hostile to strong patent protection because they want to be able to steal the little guy's stuff, because their prosperity depends on market power. If they have market power, they don't need IP. And so what happens then is that sets in. Well, then, as in all things, when people get in power too long, and they get too rich, they get too lazy, everything, of course, they become less competitive. And particularly in an era of international trade and so on, they start to lose market share. And so then you have to do something about it. And so that's when all of a sudden, well, maybe we ought to take a look at the patent law again. And so, we had that period. I would say we had pretty strong patent protection. Even I mean, we had antitrust laws that came, but we had pretty strong patent protection, I would say, certainly up into the early first part of the 20th century. And then we had the Depression, and we had World War II. And of course, then we had this huge infusion of government funding of technology, which spurred a huge technological revolution. And so at the end of the world, we dominated everything. We had, automobiles, electronic industry, chemical industry, and so on. But these companies were just enormous. They had tremendous market power. Well, then what happened is, the Japanese started coming into the picture, and whittling away we lost our consumer electronics industry. And so starting, and that's when I first got involved in this, in the 1970s. It really even started maybe under Johnson, and it was bipartisan. You had both in the front offices of corporate power, and then also in the government, you had people say, well, we've got to take a look at this. And so there was actually, I think, the National Association of Manufacturers or something set up a competitiveness council. There was a government equivalent to that.